Devin Booker was 19 years old when orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Mitchell looked him directly in the eyes and delivered the words that would haunt him for months. "Son, I'm sorry to tell you this, but your basketball career is over. The damage to your knee is too severe. You'll be lucky if you can walk normally again, let alone play professional basketball." It was March 15th, 2015, and Devin was lying in a Phoenix hospital bed, staring at MRI scans that showed a completely torn ACL, damaged meniscus, and bone bruising that the medical team had never seen in someone so young. The injury had happened during what should have been a routine practice at the University of Kentucky, but one wrong step had changed everything. As tears filled his eyes and his mother Veronica held his hand, Devin made a promise that would define the rest of his life. "I don't care what these doctors say. I don't care how long it takes or how much pain I have to endure. I'm going to come back from this stronger than I ever was before." That hospital bed became the lowest point in Devin Booker's life, but it also became the foundation for one of the most inspiring comeback stories in basketball history. Before we dive into one of the most devastating injury recoveries in sports history, you need to understand something. What you're about to hear isn't just about basketball, it's about human resilience, about refusing to accept limitations, and about what happens when someone's entire identity is threatened and they have to rebuild from nothing. Devin Booker had been on top of the basketball world just 24 hours before that injury. As a freshman at the University of Kentucky, he was playing for the best college basketball program in the country, coached by John Calipari, and surrounded by future NBA players. He was averaging 14 points per game, shooting over 40% from three-point range, and was projected to be a lottery pick in the upcoming NBA draft. His entire life had been building toward this moment. From growing up in Grand Rapids, Michigan, watching his father Melvin Booker's brief NBA career, to dominating high school basketball in Mississippi, Devin had always known he was destined for basketball greatness. The injury wasn't just threatening his career, it was threatening his identity, his family's future, and everything he had worked for since childhood. But what the doctors didn't know was that they were dealing with someone who had already overcome more adversity than most people face in a lifetime and who possessed a determination that couldn't be broken by medical diagnoses or grim prognoses. The injury happened during a routine defensive drill on a Tuesday afternoon in March. Kentucky was preparing for the NCAA tournament, and practice intensity was at its highest. Devin was defending a drive when his foot caught awkwardly on the gym floor. "I heard a pop so loud, everyone in the gym stopped," Devin later recalled. "I knew immediately something terrible had happened. The pain was unlike anything I'd experienced." Devin collapsed, clutching his left knee and screaming. His teammates rushed to his side, but it was clear this wasn't minor. The medical staff called an ambulance, and within an hour, Devin was getting X-rays and MRI scans. The diagnosis was devastating: complete ACL tear, significant meniscus damage, and bone bruising throughout his knee. Dr. Mitchell, who had worked with professional athletes for 20 years, delivered the prognosis with clinical honesty. "In 30 years of sports medicine, I've seen injuries like this end more careers than they've saved," Dr. Mitchell explained. "The combination of damage, your age, and basketball's demands make full recovery extremely unlikely." But what devastated Devin most wasn't the physical diagnosis. It was the psychological impact of having his dreams shattered in an instant. The story you're about to hear will show you exactly what it takes to come back from the impossible, and how someone can turn their lowest moment into the foundation for their greatest achievements. Devin's journey from career-ending injury to NBA stardom will change how you think about adversity and recovery. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell right now, because we're sharing stories that prove the human spirit is stronger than any medical diagnosis, and that sometimes your biggest setbacks become your greatest comebacks. Every subscriber helps us reach more people who need to hear that giving up is never the only option. What happens next in Devin's story will show you how he turned a doctor's devastating prognosis into motivation for the most incredible recovery in basketball history. Don't miss it. Subscribe now. The weeks following the injury were the darkest period of Devin's life. While teammates prepared for March Madness and the NBA draft, Devin was confined to a hospital bed, then crutches, watching his dreams slip away. I fell into a depression I didn't know was possible, Devin admitted years later. Basketball wasn't just what I did, it was who I was. When doctors told me I might never play again, it felt like they were telling me I might never be myself again. The psychological impact was amplified by timing. NBA scouts who had been regularly calling suddenly stopped. Draft projections removed his name entirely. Teammates, while supportive, couldn't hide their relief that it wasn't them. Everyone was trying to be positive, Devin said, but I could see in their eyes that they thought my career was over too. It felt like I was already being forgotten while still lying in that hospital bed. The worst part was uncertainty. Doctors couldn't guarantee surgery success, couldn't promise full mobility, and certainly couldn't assure elite basketball return. For someone whose identity was built around athletic excellence, this uncertainty was torture. Before we continue with how Devin found the strength to fight back, I need you to drop a comment below. Have you ever had a moment where everything you worked for seemed to disappear in an instant? Devin's response to that feeling is about to teach you everything about finding strength in your darkest moments. 3 weeks after the injury, while still using crutches and facing months of uncertainty, Devin made a life-defining decision. Instead of accepting the medical prognosis, he decided to approach recovery with the same intensity he brought to basketball. I realized I had two choices, Devin said. Accept what doctors were telling me and give up, or treat this recovery like the most important game of my life. Devin's mother, Veronica, became his strongest ally. Having raised him as a single mother while working multiple jobs, she understood fighting against overwhelming odds. Your whole life, people told you that you weren't big enough, strong enough, or fast enough, Veronica told her son. But you always found a way to be better than expected. This is just another challenge. Devin began researching his injury obsessively, learning everything about ACL recovery, studying successful comeback cases, and identifying the most advanced rehabilitation techniques. He wasn't hoping for recovery. He was planning for a comeback. His first call was to Dr. Neil Elatrich, one of the world's leading sports medicine specialists who had worked with elite athletes including Kobe Bryant and Tom Brady. If there was anyone who could help him achieve what seemed impossible, it would be Dr. Elatrich. Dr. Elatrich's initial evaluation was cautiously optimistic. While the injury was severe, Devin's age, previous health, and exceptional physical conditioning gave him advantages that older athletes didn't possess. More importantly, Dr. Elatrich was impressed by Devin's mental approach to recovery. Most athletes come to me hoping for a miracle, Dr. Elatrich said. Devin came to me with a plan. He had researched every aspect of his injury and recovery. He understood that this would be the hardest thing he had ever done, and he was prepared for that challenge. The surgery took 4 hours and involved reconstructing Devin's ACL using a graft from his patellar tendon, repairing the damaged meniscus, and addressing the bone bruising through a series of precision procedures. When Devin woke up from surgery, his leg was immobilized, and he was facing at least 8 months of intensive rehabilitation. The early stages of rehab were excruciating. Simple movements that he had taken for granted his entire life now required tremendous effort and caused significant pain. Bending his knee even a few degrees was a major accomplishment. Walking without crutches seemed like an impossible goal. The first month was hell, Devin said. Every day I had to relearn how to do basic human movements. There were times when I questioned whether I was strong enough to get through this. But Devin approached each day of rehabilitation with the same focus he had brought to basketball practice. He arrived at the training facility early, stayed late, and pushed himself through exercises that made grown men cry. His physical therapists had never seen such dedication from someone so young. While the physical rehabilitation was incredibly challenging, the mental aspect of recovery proved to be even more difficult. Devin had to confront fears and doubts that he had never experienced before, while watching his former teammates and competitors advance their careers. The hardest part wasn't the physical pain, Devin explained. It was watching other players get drafted, sign contracts, and live the life I was supposed to be living. I felt like the world was moving on without me. The 2015 NBA draft was particularly difficult. Players who Devin had competed against in college were being selected in the first round, signing multi-million-dollar contracts and beginning their professional careers. Devin watched the draft from his apartment in Kentucky, knowing that he should have been on that stage. I cried that night, Devin admitted, not because I felt sorry for myself, but because I was angry. I was angry at the injury, angry at the timing, angry that one random moment had changed everything. But I used that anger as fuel. Devin's rehabilitation became an obsession. He worked with physical therapists 6 days a week, spent hours in the gym working on upper body strength, and studied film of his pre-injury playing style to understand exactly what physical capabilities he needed to recover. His progress was steady but slow. After 3 months, he could walk without assistance. After 5 months, he could jog lightly. After 7 months, he was cleared for basketball activities, but his knee still felt unstable, and his confidence was shattered. Getting medical clearance was just the beginning, Devin said. I had to rebuild my trust in my own body, and that was scarier than any physical therapy exercise. By December 2015, 9 months after his injury, Devin was physically cleared to return to basketball, but he faced a new challenge. He was no longer a college student. Having declared for the NBA draft before his injury, he couldn't return to Kentucky, and no NBA team was willing to take a risk on an injury-prone prospect. Devin found himself in basketball limbo, healthy enough to play but without a team, ready to prove himself but lacking opportunities to do so. Many athletes in his situation would have given up or settled for a lesser professional league. Devin saw it as another obstacle to overcome. I wasn't going to let bureaucracy stop me after everything I had been through, Devin said. I had come too far to quit because of paperwork or league rules. Devin began training with private coaches and competing in elite pickup games and pro-am leagues where NBA scouts could see him play. His approach was methodical. Demonstrate that his injury was completely healed, show that his skills had not diminished, and prove that his mental toughness had actually improved. The first few games were terrifying. Every time he planted his foot or made a sudden movement, Devin worried that his knee would give out. But gradually, his confidence returned, and with it, his exceptional basketball ability. The injury had taken away my physical gifts temporarily, Devin said, but it had given me something more valuable: perspective. I understood how precious the opportunity to play was, and I never took a single possession for granted again. Despite impressive performances in pro-am games and private workouts, many NBA teams remained skeptical about Devin's long-term health and durability. The 2016 NBA draft approached with Devin projected as a late first-round or second-round pick, a dramatic fall from his pre-injury lottery status. Teams kept asking about my knee, Devin said. They wanted to know if I could handle the physical demands of an 82-game season, if I could stay healthy, if I still had the explosiveness I had before the injury. I understood their concerns, but it was frustrating to be judged by my lowest moment instead of my potential. The Phoenix Suns, picking 13th in the first round, decided to take a chance on the Kentucky prospect who had overcome so much adversity. General Manager Ryan McDonough had been impressed not just by Devin's talent, but by his approach to recovery and his mental toughness. "We weren't just drafting a basketball player," McDonough said. "We were drafting someone who had proven they could overcome anything. That kind of mental strength can't be taught." When Commissioner Adam Silver announced, with the 13th pick in the 2016 NBA draft, the Phoenix Suns select Devin Booker from the University of Kentucky, Devin broke down crying on live television. The tears weren't just of joy, they were of relief, vindication, and pure emotion from someone who had fought through the impossible to reach this moment. "That moment made everything worth it," Devin said. "Every day of pain, every hour of rehab, every moment of doubt, it all led to hearing my name called in that draft." Devin's rookie season with the Phoenix Suns became an opportunity to prove that his comeback was complete and that the injury had not diminished his basketball ability. But he faced new challenges, adapting to the speed and physicality of the NBA while managing the psychological effects of his injury recovery. "Every hard foul, every collision, every time I fell down, I had to fight the mental urge to protect my knee," Devin said. The injury was healed, but the fear was still there. Devin's approach to his rookie season was influenced by his injury experience. He prepared more thoroughly, studied more film, and took better care of his body than most rookies. The discipline and work ethic he had developed during rehabilitation became his competitive advantages. His breakout performance came in a game against the Los Angeles Lakers when he scored 25 points, including several explosive drives to the basket that demonstrated his knee was completely healthy. After the game, Lakers veteran Kobe Bryant sought him out. "Young fella, I can see you've been through something," Bryant told him. "The way you play, the way you prepare, that's not normal rookie behavior. That comes from adversity. Use that edge, and you'll have a special career." Bryant's words were validation for Devin that his injury experience, rather than being a setback, had actually made him a better player in person. He had learned lessons about resilience and preparation that his peers wouldn't understand for years. As Devin's NBA career progressed, it became clear that the injury that had threatened to end his career had actually accelerated his development. His meticulous approach to preparation, his appreciation for every opportunity, and his mental toughness set him apart from other young players. In his second season, Devin became the youngest player in NBA history to score 70 points in a game, dropping 70 on the Boston Celtics in a performance that announced him as one of the league's emerging superstars. The achievement was even more remarkable considering that just 2 years earlier, doctors had told him he might never play again. Scoring 70 points was incredible, Devin said, but what made it special was remembering where I had come from. Every shot I made that night was for the kid lying in that hospital bed who refused to give up. Devin's playing style was influenced by his injury experience. He was more deliberate in his movements, more efficient in his shot selection, and more aware of his body positioning. What some observers initially mistook for cautious play was actually advanced basketball intelligence developed through adversity. His teammates and coaches noticed that Devin approached every practice and game with unusual intensity. He never complained about minor injuries, never took plays off, and never seemed to get discouraged by poor performances. "Devin plays like someone who almost lost everything," said Suns coach Monty Williams. "He understands how quickly it can all be taken away, so he maximizes every opportunity he gets." Devin's injury experience became a defining factor in his approach to team leadership and championship pursuit. Having experienced the fragility of athletic careers, he was determined to maximize his window of opportunity with the Phoenix Suns. The 2021 NBA playoffs represented the culmination of Devin's journey from injury devastation to championship contention. Leading the Suns to their first finals appearance in 28 years, Devin played with a level of intensity and clutch performance that reflected his understanding of how precious these opportunities were. "Every playoff game felt like a gift," Devin said. "I knew that not everyone gets these chances, and I wasn't going to waste mine." In the NBA Finals against the Milwaukee Bucks, Devin averaged over 27 points per game while playing through minor injuries that might have sidelined other players. His pain tolerance and mental toughness, developed during his ACL recovery, allowed him to perform at his highest level when it mattered most. Although the Suns ultimately lost the series, Devin's performance established him as one of the NBA's premier players and proved that his comeback from injury was complete. He had not just returned to his pre-injury level, he had surpassed it. "The finals loss hurt," Devin said, "but it didn't devastate me the way the injury had. I knew we would have more opportunities, and I knew I was strong enough to handle whatever came next." Devin's comeback story has inspired countless athletes facing career-threatening injuries. His foundation now provides support and resources for young athletes dealing with serious injuries, helping them access the same kind of advanced medical care and rehabilitation that enabled his recovery. "I want kids to know that an injury doesn't have to be the end of their story," Devin said. "It can be the beginning of a stronger, more determined version of themselves." Medical professionals who worked with Devin during his recovery point to his case as an example of how mental approach can influence physical outcomes. His dedication to rehabilitation and his refusal to accept limitations helped him achieve a recovery that many had considered impossible. Devin's recovery was remarkable not just because of the medical treatment, said Dr. Elatrek, but because of his psychological approach. He treated his rehabilitation like athletic competition, and that mindset accelerated his healing. Young athletes facing similar injuries now study Devin's rehabilitation program and mental approach. His detailed documentation of his recovery process has become a template for others facing devastating injuries. Every email I get from a kid who says my story helped them get through their injury makes everything worth it, Devin said. If my worst moment can help someone else find strength, then it served a purpose beyond basketball. Today, Devin Booker is recognized not just as one of the NBA's best shooting guards, but as a symbol of resilience and determination. His knee injury, which once threatened to end his career, has become the foundation of his legacy, proof that setbacks can become setups for even greater achievements. That injury was the worst thing that ever happened to me, Devin reflected in a recent interview. But it was also the best thing. It taught me who I really was when everything was taken away. It showed me that I was stronger than I knew. The mental toughness and preparation habits Devin developed during his recovery have influenced every aspect of his career. His legendary work ethic, his clutch performance in big moments, and his leadership of the Phoenix Suns all trace back to the lessons he learned while fighting to save his career. Basketball gave me a dream, Devin said, but the injury gave me character. I wouldn't trade that experience for anything because it made me who I am today. His story has become required reading for young athletes, sports medicine professionals, and anyone facing seemingly insurmountable challenges. The 19-year-old who was told his career was over became a testament to the power of refusing to accept limitations. People always ask me what I would tell my 19-year-old self lying in that hospital bed, Devin said. I would tell him that this isn't happening to you. It's happening for you. Everything you need to become great is about to be forged in this struggle. The scar on Devin's knee serves as a daily reminder of how close he came to losing everything and how much strength he found in his darkest moment. It represents not just a medical procedure, but a complete transformation from someone who was talented into someone who was unbreakable. Dr. Mitchell, the surgeon who delivered the devastating initial prognosis, has since become one of Devin's biggest supporters and regularly cites his case as an example of how determination can overcome medical predictions. I've learned to be more careful about declaring careers over, Dr. Mitchell said. Devin taught me that the human spirit can accomplish things that medical textbooks say are impossible. Devin Booker's journey from career-ending injury to NBA stardom proves that our lowest moments don't define us. Our response to those moments does. He transformed what should have been the end of his story into the beginning of his greatest chapter. If this story inspired you to believe that setbacks are just setups for comebacks, hit that subscribe button and share this video with someone who needs to hear that their current struggle might be preparing them for their greatest victory. Remember, you're not just surviving your challenges, you're building the strength you'll need for your destiny.